Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Spider-Man Miles Morales. So, we have two evil people to stop in this. At this point in the story, we have Roxanne, who is trying to do generic evil corporate things, and we have the Tinkerer, who is our best friend Finn. Apparently,
Huh.
we got upgrade gadgets. Yay!
Wait, so the sidekick who makes gadgets is a bad guy?
No, that's Genki.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I got my wires crossed because it's been a couple it's been a hot minute since our last session. All right, so it's the what's her name?
Finn.
That was
Yes.
that was working for the incredibly inept sort of local terrorist group.
Yes.
Right. Now I remember, yes. What do you think, Ted?
Whoa.
Oh,
Oh,
wait, Ted's
Lord.
not here today.
Hello, John.
No, but I'm here, and I'm assuming that wasn't the first quirk you've run into in this playthrough so far.
As far as this recording, yes, it is.
Oh, okay.
I've had a few.
I-
I've had a few issues on my first playthrough where the game did crash once, as well as during a certain part of the game I webbed a guy to a burning car with his head inside of the car.
Right, as you do. You're a superhero.
Totally
Yes, he's
non-lethal, but
Totally non-lethal.
I mean, but that was the thing about this game. Like at launch, it was pretty damn buggy. Like all things considered, my favorite was probably Spider Brick.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's what immediately comes to
I
mind.
also had Miles planking at one point.
I believe the game at one point, maybe twice, crashed on me when I first played it. That said, I have not played this since I made the review on it, like around launch window, because I'll go out and say right now, I really enjoyed my time with this, and I love Miles's new, well, it's basically JoJo's Hamon powers.
Yeah.
And I think that really does enhance the combat and make it more arcade-like. But I had no compulsion to go back to it.
Yeah.
And I'm not entirely sure if it's because the campaign was all right, or just because I'm just kind of anticipating Spider-Man 2 now at this point.
Yeah. At this point, Spider-Man 2 is a few weeks away, so I don't see much reason to play this right now with Spider-Man 2 on the way because you can play Miles in there. So
I think it's kind of an element of this particular style of Spider-Man game that goes all the way back to Ultimate Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2. But like, it's a cool and very fun sandbox style game, but there's not a whole lot of intrinsic replayability in the things that the game asks you to do, you know?
No, because like what was like a common critique of Miles Morales besides the bugginess is that it is essentially a glorified expansion pack of the first game. You get a different Spider-Man that's slightly different in terms of utility and powers. But New York's New York, and the structure of it is still very similar.
but
Yeah.
it's winter time now.
But
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say is that, like, basically every complaint you could have with Miles Morales is also a complaint you could have with the main game. The main game is just longer. You know?
Also, I don't recall Miles Morales having stealth sections
Yeah, Miles does not have any Mary Jane
like
sections.
Mary Jane or Miles Morales sections.
yeah, but-
What?
But, that would arguably make Miles Morales the superior experience, don't you know? But, like, the point I'm trying to make is that this is a style of game that has an intrinsic sort of repetitiveness to it mechanically. And the Insomniac style of Spider-Man game has piled on enough extra to make it feel relatively fresh, but it is not fundamentally all that different from the Amazing Spider-Man games or Spider-Man 2 or Ultimate Spider-Man. There's not a whole lot to the formula that mixes things up.
Was this the first time Miles Morales in Spider-Man costume was playable, like in a video game?
Might be. I mean, not counting maybe some arcade game or something, because those hardly count.
Yeah, because I'm thinking back, like even to like the original Spider-Man games that weren't necessarily like tied to movies or anything, like Web of Shadows or there was another one that I'm blanking on. Shattered Dimension. Yeah, I don't think Miles was in those games.
I don't think Miles was in those games. I don't know about Web of Shadows, but I know Shattered Dimensions was more about like Alterverse Spider-Man, like Noir and 20 whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
I think actually it just had Spider-Man and Ultimate Spider-Man in the same game, which are both Peter Parker.
The memes write themselves.
It's like the only real difference between them was the cell shading in the Ultimate version, I think.
Speaking of cell shading, what was your first alternate costume and why was it Into the Spider-Verse?
It was. It absolutely was. We were recording
it's not even the idea that Into the Spider-Verse costume was in the game, because I think everybody was expecting that. I love that they also included like the 12 frames per second like setting that you can also enable with it.
Yeah, it was cool. Did they do that in the main game too?
The first Spider-Man game?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think it was something that was exclusive to Miles Morales.
Oh, okay. Well, it was his big modern breakout hit, so...
Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, Insomniac Spider-Man, the first one, and Into the Spider... Was that same year, wasn't it? Or was Spider-Verse like a year prior? Because I don't exactly recall the top of my head, and I don't want to Google it just yet, but I am eyeing my keyboard right now.
I'm not sure. I can't remember which came first. The chicken or the egg? Huh. You know, maybe it is actually a multiverse loop, and we've been living in a timeline where it's been 2020 forever, and both of those things have existed forever, and neither of them came before the other. And we just live in this nightmare world where the only good things in the universe are Into the Spider-Verse. And
anyway, the answer is same year. 2018.
Okay. But which came first? Which actually
he's getting existential. Abort.
Which actually came first, like, in terms of what month it came
okay, so Marvel Spider-Man, that's the full name of it, was September 7th, 2018. Fucking Into the Spider-Verse was December of 2018.
Oh. So technically,
just a few months.
Technically, the game came first. Good year to be a Spider-Man fan and forget that one more day happened.
Yeah, I mean, you're not lying, because we get one of the best games and also one of the best movies, like in the franchise.
Getting a bit of deja vu with Dungeons and Dragons this year.
I'm assuming you're referring to Baldur's Gate and
Honor Among Thieves. Yeah.
Honor Among Thieves. Yeah, I actually watched that with Nora and Elliot, renting it. I found it pretty enjoyable, even though I have no idea what the hell D&D is.
I just watched Honor Among Thieves this week, actually. It's pretty zany in that it really captures the spirit of a particularly whimsical player group kind of deal. I wish it were a little bit more serious at times, but I can't deny I had a big goofy grin on my face the entire time.
Yeah, like I don't think it was like try hard taking all the wrong things from MCU bad. But I did enjoy myself. You know, although I did feel really bad for that fucking that bird guy.
Jonathan.
Yeah.
I felt really bad for that one corpse they never asked the fifth question to. I'm pretty sure that's not how Speak with Dead works in game, but you know what? Who cares?
Yeah, it made for a good mid-credit scene.
There's actually a deleted scene Actually, there's 10 minutes of deleted scenes, and I think like 7 minutes are just this one scene of the guy rattling off all the books he's ever read. Like, they didn't even add the background to it, so you can see the two guys on either side of him just like working his arms with their little puppet arms, and he actually goes on for like 10 minutes. I want to find out if that was ad-libbed or not. Okay.
I think something that goes on for that long is most likely ad-libbed.
I would be impressed if it were ad-libbed, considering how much sense those book titles made in universe.
Are you familiar with Patton Oswalt's filibuster from Parks and Recreation?
Not at all.
Not at all. Okay, well, the point is that he's supposed to deliver a filibuster, but outside of like the beginning of it, I think the script just said do whatever you want for 8 minutes. So he makes up this whole fucking thing about like massive crossovers with like Marvel, Disney's Star Wars and shit like that. But then by the end of it, he says, "Please, can I stop talking now?" It's pretty fucking humorous. You can find it on YouTube easily. Yeah, I forgot though that the power up in question is just called Venom, and I have to ask, it's like, in what universe does Venom look like electrical powers just emanating from the fingertips?
I have no freaking idea. Also, why is it that no one has any peripheral vision?
I think those helmets are pretty dense.
It's always the helmets.
That seems like a serious design flaw. I mean, you're not even standing that far, like, above their line of sight. Like, just me looking directly ahead of my face right now would be able to see this Spider-Man if he were positioned at the same angle.
I don't know, like, I'm considering my peripheral vision right now, and I can barely make out the TV that's to my left. But if Miles were standing on like the far left corner of the TV, I wouldn't be able to see him, despite the fact that I should be able to.
I was accounting for the baseball cap that I'm wearing right now when I said that.
Yeah.
He was not at a particularly sharp angle from those guys. They should have been able to see him. In fact, if this were like Metal Gear Solid 3 or something, I'm pretty sure you would have been spotted hanging out like that. Unless you had like really good camouflage or something. Because
maybe consider. Maybe they do see him, but choose not to engage him because they don't want to get hurt.
Well, I mean, Batman logic.
Considering that half of the story has been Miles just completely trashing the local environment because he can't control his powers precisely yet. Yeah, that scans. So, okay. Ventilation shafts, yet again. Lovely.
Just so you know, ventilation shafts are not big enough for people to crawl through.
Yeah.
That's why it's a comic book movie. Well, video game, I should say. I always thought like the vents are still spacious enough that I think you should be able to at least like crawl, like without like being prone.
Some ventilation ducts that I've seen have portions to them that are maybe wide enough that you could worm wiggle your way through, but they probably connect to much narrower passages, at least part of the time. So this kind of video gamey crawling through ventilation ducts stuff absolutely would not work in real life. If they needed to make...
You said worm wiggle, and I just got like the image of Miles just like slithering like a snake through the vents.
Well, yeah, that's kind of what I mean, you know?
Yeah.
I love this frickin' Invisible Woman power. What the... I'm trying to remember what the names of all the Fantastic Four are, but it's like, it's been a long time since Marvel's done jack shit with the Fantastic Four, so they've kind of slid out of my consciousness, which I'm sure was their intention when they decided to stop doing stuff with the Fantastic Four. If we don't have these,
I remember Reed
rights,
Richards and Johnny, but and Thing. Wait, actually, what was the girl's name? Was it
Sue,
Was it Sue?
I think so.
Oh, Christ. Hold on. I feel like I should know this, but Susan Storm.
Yeah, Susan Storm. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the DC
sort of
XPs of the Fantastic Four more than I remember the Fantastic Four themselves these
Oh,
days.
the Terrific Trio.
Yeah. That whole mess ended with Cyborg Superman. So, you know.
I just think of Doctor Doom. Like, he's the only character that immediately comes to mind. Maybe Thing, but that's about it. I never cared about Fantastic Four, ever.
So who was that guy, and why did he help us?
It was Prowler.
That's his uncle.
That doesn't.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you know, that doesn't really answer my question. I have no freaking idea who Prowler is.
It's Miles' uncle, who's a criminal turned helpful person right now.
Oh, so he dusted off his old supervillain kit to help out.
Yes.
Fair enough. He's graduated from Shocker to Harley Quinn. Good job, Prowler. I really need to actually watch Harley Quinn one of these days.
It's good.
Are
but
we
it's-
talking the HBO show?
Yes.
Okay.
Like, I keep putting it off because it seems to go too much down the full comedy.
Well, I mean, it
me.
is. It's a comedy show.
Yeah, and it's, you know, I've said this before, but I like my comedy mixed in with seriousness. But at the same time, there are scenes from Harley Quinn that I've watched that I really like. And I'd like to see the whole thing, but My Adventures with Superman kind of like is my usual limit for comedy mixed with seriousness, you know? I don't often go much more comedy than that.
My Adventure with Superman is so good.
Yeah.
Did that finish?
First season, yes, it did.
First season. Okay, now I can binge it. And I'm assuming it's on Max.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
That's where I watched it. The season's only 10 episodes long, and they're not very long episodes, so it's not a very long binge.
That's good to hear. Yeah, like when it was making its initial run, everyone around me just couldn't shut up about it.
It is a good show. It's not a perfect show, but it's a good show.
It's like slightly muscular Topher Grace.
It's. I think a lot of the reason people are so crazy about it, apart from it just being generally a fun show, is that it's just really refreshing after so long, after dealing with a very cynical Superman take for so long.
Yeah, but it's been 10 years because Man of Steel was 2012, 2013.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's not for nothing. Like, I still enjoy Man of Steel. Like, I don't love the movie, but I still enjoy it.
I think it's a good spectacle movie. And to be honest, a lot of the really annoying tropes with Man of Steel, Superman, are like more in Batman v Superman and Justice League than they are in Man of Steel.
And even then, we're like, what cut of Justice League are you talking about?
Both.
I assume you'd be.
Look, okay, if you make a longer movie about a cynical take on Superman, it's still a cynical take on Superman.
I will argue, though, that Zack Snyder's cut
Is much better.
makes Superman, has a much better Superman in it than the Josh Whedon cut.
Oh, for sure. But that's in part, that's because the movie is just more coherent.
Shit's allowed to breathe.
Yes, that's an important point. No matter what,
Yeah.
no matter what concept you're executing, if it's executed better, it's a better execution. But I'm not in love with the tonal concept in the first place. So even at its maximum execution, I'm only gonna like it so much.
Yeah, I would agree.
But we've been seeing a more balanced Superman between My Adventures and Superman and Lois. I hate that goddamn title. I also can't get over Superman's Giga Chad face in that. Like, he looks like he's been photoshopped, and I realize he's not. That's just the way the guy looks, but
But you don't like Superman Sephiroth?
Well, I don't know about that. I'm just talking about his face. Um, he has that that perfect quantity of chin and stubble to look exactly like the Giga Chad meme. And it throws me off every time I look at that show. Also, he makes this really soulful face all the time where where I just can't help but think he's supposed to be like the most sympathetic Superman ever purely by his facial expression. And I don't know why, but that surface impression bothers me. Not in a way where I think it doesn't fit Superman, just in a way where it's just like, I don't know how to feel about this.
I think maybe that goes in line with what you were talking about earlier. Is like we've had a more down to earth, cynical Superman for the better part of the decade. Then maybe you just forgot what it feels like when Superman is actually just the most wholesome being on the planet.
Well, I read my fair share of Superman comics back in the day, both when he was Superman and when he was an electric monster, and when he was two electric monsters with split personalities. That was a trip.
You're talking about the death of Superman aftermath.
Well, there's the death of Superman. I also had some stuff from before the death of Superman. I also had his electric superpowers phase, and I had the phase where he split into two people while he was all electric.
Red
And then I
Blue
had some
Superman
stuff from
has
like when and I had some stuff from after that when he recombined and got his old powers back. It was a weird time. But like
I know this is post Silver Age.
but like even when he was, kind of the most wholesome shit ever, he was generally pretty cheerful, like chill. He smiled a lot.
Have you read All-Star Superman?
I have not all of it, but I did. It's actually on Comixology Unlimited, so I was able to just pick it up and read a bit of it here and there. It was an interesting story. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Like, it's clearly
in terms of what I expect a Superman to act and react to, like, the world around them. It is my go-to example of what I expect out of Superman.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely say that. On the other hand, it definitely felt a little bit contrived in places. Like, there was this bit closer to the beginning where Lois is in the Fortress of Solitude, and Superman is preparing her the super
The 24-hour serum.
the 24-hour serum. Yeah. The whole situation just rubbed me the wrong way because there was no reason I could think of why he wouldn't just have that ready for her before he brings her there. But there's this whole situation where, like, she looks into a room and sees a hallucination and overreacts based on that, and there's this drama about that, and it's like, okay, why did this happen? I don't understand why this happened.
Maybe you should have the thing ready before you brought it to the Fortress, Superman.
It's just like, it feels like some of the situations in this comic happen because the characters are being forced to be idiots for a little while, which is not my favorite brand of writing. But